Experience revolutionized cyber training. Choose from over 100 interactive lessons among dozens of learning paths. Train your team in safe simulated scenarios. Create your own learning paths or use ours to evaluate your team. Create and assign quizzes to interactive lessons to further validate training. Track your team's performance. Create custom, game-based training using our patented Forge system. Create advanced red/blue team training or simple security awareness and onboarding. Import database tables to query in lessons. Haiku. Give your team the training they need.
Hello, I'm Ed Scotus, President of the SANS Technology Institute College and Director of the team that builds cyber ranges for the SANS Institute. I have a question for you. Have you practiced your cyber skills today? Well, in the world of cybersecurity, staying ahead isn't just about knowing more, it's about practicing more with real-world hands-on skills. That's why here at the SANS Institute, we believe in the power of continuous hands-on practice to keep your cyber skills sharp and effective no matter your level of expertise. Cyber ranges are the perfect way to achieve this goal. They're an interactive, hands-on set of learning exercises in a controlled, safe, and isolated environment with replicated networks, systems, and applications. Practitioners can test and improve their cybersecurity skills with real-world challenge scenarios without any risk. At SANS Cyber Ranges, we offer a diverse set of challenges designed to cater to all skill levels, from those just starting their cybersecurity journey to seasoned experts looking to stay ahead of the curve. Our ranges are built with industry-leading content and structured to provide a progressive learning experience. That means you can start with the basics and advance to complex scenarios that will even challenge the most experienced professionals. And if you're looking to tailor your training to meet specific team or organizational goals, we can customize our ranges to fit your unique requirements. Hiring and promoting with SANS Cyber Ranges is an effective way to assess, enhance, improve retention, and develop an individual or a team's competency in cybersecurity. Participants can receive a detailed assessment of their performance. This provides insights into how an individual or a team did across distinct categories of all levels, breaking down into a personalized training roadmap with which courses are recommended to improve or develop skills according to individual roles. So whether you're looking to hone your skills, certify your team, or just stay one step ahead of cyber threats, SANS Cyber Ranges are your gateway to becoming an elite expert cybersecurity professional. Reach out to our advisors today and start your tailored cybersecurity training journey with SANS Cyber Ranges.
For any business, innovation can't happen without security. But that security can sometimes feel cumbersome. That's why from day one, AWS has made security their top priority. And no matter the size or type of your organization, they can help you move quickly, securely, and with confidence to enable your business. AWS is architected to be the most secure cloud computing environment available today. All AWS services are designed to protect your cloud environment, enabling you to innovate quickly and securely. In fact, customers say the security of their apps and data on AWS is materially better than on their own on-premises infrastructure. Get the level of protection you need by accessing more than 300 security, compliance, and governance services and features, as well as thousands more security solutions in the AWS Marketplace. Your builders can move fast, writing code and improving security posture at the same time. And AWS Security Automation helps ensure your teams spend their time on the highest value tasks. Use proven security from AWS and accelerate your innovation today.
Hey there and welcome. We are really excited to bring to you the last hour or so of the competition. This is the Wicked6 special edition of Global Cyber Games, the Women's Attack and Defense Tournament. The ladies have been going since 8 a.m. this morning Eastern Time, and we are now just approaching the last hour. So super excited to see the finale. My name is Jessica Gulick. I am the founder of Play Cyber and the co-founder of Wicked6, and it's my honor to kick things off today. What I wanted to say was, first off, thank you to our sponsors. This would not be possible without our partners, the Women's Society of Cyber Jitsu, Cyber Esports Foundation, and of course our sponsors, AWS. So big thank you to AWS for making this happen. Also to Glitch, the cyber range platform, who is providing excellent game opportunity for all these ladies and spent a lot of time and energy, not just perfecting the platform, but putting together the challenges, as well as many of the little tidbit clips and everything that we'll see later on today. I also want to take a minute and appreciate, we've had 5 amazing platforms going on during Wicked6. That would be the GT Edge AI platform, Haiku, Hack the Box, the Cyber Range by SANS, the Boot Up CTF, Kage, the Auto Hack competition as well. So we're really hoping that you guys have enjoyed those games, and we're now about to give you a taste, if you haven't seen, of the tournament. So with that, let's talk about why we're here today. Attack and defense is a core capability for all cyber professionals that work in the technical fields. And for years, we've put a focus on Jeopardy, which is a wonderful puzzle-oriented competition. But what I love about attack and defense is it gives us a little bit of live action, if you will. But it also hones those unique and really important skills that you see in incident response, vulnerability management, and many other areas of network security. What we're highlighting today is some amazing women from at least 12 different nations around the world showing us their skills live in this competition. And that's pretty unique. So in terms of the agenda or the run of show for today, here's what to expect. We're going to kick off a quick 15-minute summary of some of the talks. So we've taken some clips. We've had 20 amazing speakers from around the world give talks throughout the last 2 days. So we are going to just kind of summarize those with a few hot clips in the next 15 minutes. And then we're going to show you the various teams that are performing today. So you'll see some of the names you might recognize or some of the teams you might be cheering for. Then we'll come back here. I'll introduce you to our shoutcasters and to our game master, Josiah, and we'll walk through, what's been happening today. What do we see in the leaderboard? What's left for the ladies to complete? Those kind of elements. As we go through, it'll be the last exciting. The competition ends in about an hour or so at 5 p.m. Stay on afterwards. Not only are we going to try to bring the first place team onto this broadcast so you can meet them, but we're going to ask Josiah, the game master, to go through some of the challenges. So there'll be a challenge walkthrough, which is a wonderful learning opportunity and very eye-opening on what should have been done to help solve these challenges. So with that, again, wonderful. A big thank you to all the speakers who had made the last 2 days amazing. There was like 23, 22 of you. Hearts out for you. Really appreciate it. Some wonderful stories, some day in the lives, some great topics, everything from AI to esports. Let's hear a little bit about those.
I would say that reputation travels farther than a CV ever could, right? Most people just think of technical skills. And yes, your skills, your knowledge, and how deep your expertise are. They are important. You need them to perform, to solve problems, to get promotions. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. The next is reputation. And it's not just about the work you do alone. It's about what people say about you, your judgments, your decision making, your reliability. I would say that reputation travels farther than a CV ever could, right? Someone could have a perfect resume, and if no one trusts them, opportunities can't slip by. Then we have the next, which is visibility. You might be excellent at what you do, but if the right people don't know you, like I said earlier, it doesn't matter, right? So it's important to have the necessary visibility for your career. The next bit is your network. Now, this is not about your LinkedIn connections. It's about the people who can advocate for you if you're not in the room. Your colleagues, your mentors, people that help open doors, people who push for you when decisions are being made behind closed doors. And then finally, we have energy. And I know it sounds like a soft, feel-good word, but it is very strategic, right? A professional that is drained and burned out makes decision and it's obvious, right? They can miss opportunities, they hesitate, and they get stuck in reactive mode. Your energy affects every choice you make. That's why it belongs in your assets register. It is real, it is measurable, and you need to protect it just like any other asset. So when you're thinking about your career, don't just list your skills, think broadly. Think about your reputation, your visibility, your network, and your energy. These are all assets that you can grow, protect, and leverage strategically.
The one message that I wanted to share too is that we can't wait until we feel ready. And what do I mean by this? So many times we're saying, oh, I just don't feel like working out today, or I don't feel like reaching out to that leader to schedule that meeting, or I don't really feel like I'm ready. And I think especially, we as women, we pay attention. However, we should think about action as a way to guide how we feel, right? So thinking about it in your mind and thinking through every scenario can tend to slow us down. And so letting action come before the emotion, let the feeling come after. I will tell you, after years of getting up early in the morning, getting my morning workout done before office, I feel so much better after it is done. And so the same thing goes for any area within your day-to-day job that you're facing fear. If you take a small action, meaning if you think about the idea of failure as simply an experiment outcome, then you can take small actions without feeling like a complete, failure, right? Because you realize that failure is just a normal part of an outcome. It's helping you make the next decision. Okay, that didn't work. Now what am I going to do next? And so it's basically a decision point. It shouldn't be a blocker. We should move through fear, knowing that if I fail, that failure is just going to be feedback for me to make a different decision next time and approach the situation from a different angle. So it's feedback. And so I don't think until I understood this, I really held myself back too many times from actually facing it and moving forward.
Take a break. It's okay to take a break from doing all of the things, right? We're not built to do everything. We're not built to do all of the things. And if you want your mind to be focused, to be able to function, you have to take those breaks and be intentional about it. That's one of the things that I didn't do for a long time. And when I finally stopped and said, okay, let me just take a 5 minute, it was just 5 minutes. And I said, there's way too much going on here and I can't focus on the one thing that I want to focus on. And so there's a lot of things being thrown at us right now. A lot of things about you got to know AI and you got to know this and you got to know that and you got to do this and you got to be that and you got to just stop. Figure out your why in the space, right? And then see how those things fit into that why, because everything's not going to fit into that. And that's one of the things, like I said, I've been learning that over the last year of let me let that go. Let me say no, because I don't have the time, the bandwidth. That doesn't feed me anymore. It doesn't help me get to where I'm trying to get to. And I'm being very intentional And so breaks have to be built in so that you can be intentional and be the best version of you.
One thing I would like to add is that also threat actors make mistakes every now and they also don't know everything. So in multiple engagements, we saw that threat actors are sometimes just browsing the internet for PowerShell for Dummies, for example, in their operations, because they also don't know everything, just like when they start. So they also just Google stuff to go further. The ecosystem of threat actors is getting more and more interesting. It's not good maybe, but it's interesting, where security researchers are actually being hired by threat actors to find vulnerabilities. There are hacking competitions for that. In specific countries, they reach out to specific researchers to let them share the research so they can use it for their malicious operations. So there are not only overlaps, similarities and differences, but it's also just one network of collaboration too.
So why esports? Esports is all about training chaos. And that's exactly why it works. Esports athletes participate in competitions at a higher level, driven by a mission that requires cognitive expertise, endurance, and situational awareness. The intuition to solve complex problems and the honing of instinct through hours and hours and hours of practice to win. Many of the team-based esport games simulate cyber concepts already, such as risk management, mitigation, exploitation strategies, ciphers, and puzzles. There is a lot of similarities within esport games and cybersecurity. In fact, I often share that cybersecurity is one of the only career fields that has an inherent us versus them built in, which means it's highly competitive, and it's perfect for sports and gaming. Funny thing, when you strip away the controller, an elite sports player looks a lot like a cyber operator.
Every year, I always do.
Well, very cool. You know, we can't come together and talk about Wicked6 without giving kind of any advice. Any thoughts this year on what you would tell the audience? We are, by the way, all genders here. We've got men in the audience this year. That's the first time. Kind of opened up the door and said, come on in. But what would be, I mean, given what you've learned in the last 12 months, what's some of the advice that you would give folks?
Take a break.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that. Please tell me more.
It's okay to take a break from doing all of the things, right?
I wanted to touch on imposter syndrome a little bit as well. I feel like there's a big highlight on imposter syndrome in cyber, but I want you to understand that this is in every single industry. The great thing about imposter syndrome is that it can show you where you need to improve, but it doesn't mean that you don't belong. I'll be honest, I felt more imposter syndrome as an architect working in the industry for years than I did in the first 6 months of working in cybersecurity, because I found like I belonged here. That might not be everyone's experience, and that's okay. Everyone is different, but imposter syndrome can be a positive thing if you allow it to be a way to inform where you want to improve, and not to see it as something that's overwhelming.
Cybersecurity is one of the most interconnected challenges our world faces. The stronger our ecosystem becomes, the stronger our collective defense is. So today I challenge you to ask yourself, what seed can you plant? What connection can you make? Then introduce two people who should know each other but don't. Because when we cultivate those connections intentionally, we're not only building networks, we're building resilience.
How many times have you gotten questions like, are you sure you belong in this room? Are you sure you are in the right room? Are you actually good at what you do? What role did you apply for again? Or sometimes when you even get an email that says, dear sir, before anyone gets to see your face or hear your voice. But do you know the most dangerous moment? It is when you start asking yourself the same question, when you don't feel perfect in technical rooms? Because I did. And at some point, I failed at what I'm known for today. And that's why we are discussing the topic breaking in without permission, offensive and API security as a career leverage. I have a story to tell you.
Passion for something is something that cannot be taught. When I was getting into the industry, as I said, I attended that interview for my internship. I actually did not pass by several points at that internship interview. But what the person interviewing me saw, and I only found this out much later, is that they saw how much passion I had for this, how much interest I had in it. And technical skills you can learn, but passion no one can teach you. So lead with what makes you yourself. And don't be afraid to show people that, because it's a strength.
Innovation is moving towards self-healing, autonomous defense. It's about moving away from static rules towards living adaptive defense. It's going to be a wild ride. Are your guardrails ready?
Before I let you go, I wanted to give each of you a moment to speak directly to the person watching this who sees something in themselves in your story. If someone watching this right now sees themselves in, your story, what is one thing that you want them to walk away knowing, and where do they go next?
I think just in general, don't be afraid to be you. You'll find your community. It'll come. But you can't do it if you're not yourself. So embrace the quirks and do what you're passionate about, and good things will happen when you're yourself.
One thing, just keep moving forward. There's always going to be obstacles, but it's what you do with those obstacles is how you're able to become better. And another thing is just, being able to motivate yourself. And I think that's what makes a strong CTF player and just person in general, is being able to motivate yourself and climb up that hill. I have on my little post-it note on my computer, the quote from Mark Twain, if you're supposed to eat a frog, better do it at the beginning of the day. And if you have to eat 2 frogs, eat the bigger one first. And I kind of just like to see that with life in general and just CTFs, just being able to prioritize and have your list and being like, yeah, this sucks right now, and being able to be like, okay, what sucks first, and then get that out of the way so you can focus on the fun stuff or the better stuff. So that way you can just be a better person and learn more skills and all that.
It's actually one of my favorite quotes is by Ken Griffey Jr. And it says, when you lose, you smile, and you come back the next day, and you win, then you smile, and you come back the next day. So I really love it. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time, because it's like, whatever happens, right? You're there to, you're there, and you are not going to stop being there for yourself or for other people behind you. And if it's something that you really love, you really are passionate about, you can do it. You can do like anything, right? If you put enough effort into it, I think literally anyone, basically anyone, almost anyone can do pretty much anything if you put enough effort into it, if you want it badly enough and you're passionate and you're genuinely passionate about it. And so I would say keep your head, pointed, keep your head up, keep your eyes towards the North Star, and make sure that if you know what you want, you're not stopping until you're on that road. You're keeping going, you're getting there. And especially for women in this field, it can sometimes feel like, you are very isolated because you're the only woman maybe in like the entire room. But that, the fact that you are there is a really cool thing. And so you want to stay there and you want to bring more people there. And so it's more, you want to think about it from that perspective instead of like, oh, wow, I'm the only one here. Maybe I don't belong here. It's like, wow, I'm here. Clearly, like, we're getting better at this, and so there's me here at least, and I can bring more people here with me.
Wow.
Alrighty, so hopefully that you enjoyed that little taste of just a few of the talks, many more where that comes from. We do recommend that if you're part of the Wicked6 event, go ahead and go to the event main stage, scroll down to the agenda, and there's some hot links there so you can listen to all the talks. They were amazing. We will, of course, look at trying to release some of them going forward, probably in about a month. If you want to continue to watch us on social media, we'll make an announcement and you'll know when to check them out on YouTube. But a lot of great talks and wonderful advice. It's been another amazing Wicked6. And I am just too honored. I am serious. All these women giving all these insights and taking the time to be part of this event is just amazing stuff. So now the fun part. I love this part. I get too excited. So we are going to go ahead and start kicking off this broadcast of the Wicked6 Special Edition Global Cyber Games Women's Attack and Defense Contest. Let's take a quick look, about a 2-minute video that will walk you through the teams that are competing today. Then we'll come back and meet our shoutcasters and Game Master. All right, welcome back, welcome back. Okay, we are about to get started with this chatter around the tournament itself. So I'm going to ask that our shoutcasters and our game master go ahead and join us to screen. Just ran through kind of a list of all the teams and the players that are playing, some fantastic teams returning, and even some newbies that are trying to cut their teeth on their first attack and defense game. So a nice array of different kind of teams here that we'll be talking through. But first, let's get to know who is going to be talking today. So why don't we start off with Nick? Nick, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Hey everyone, my name's Ipsec. I'm also in real life called Nick, but I've been around probably for around 10 years in the cybersecurity community. I used to do a lot of competing. You most likely know me from my videos where I normally cover like hack the box machines every week. I've done that probably since I want to say like 2016. So it's been quite a long time. And I'm here to just try to give some insight at what these players are doing during this tournament. It is a hack and defend, and I used to play tons and tons of hack and defends.
Excellent. Excellent. What was your favorite side? The attack or the defend?
I always liked the defense.
Really?
We always did,
I didn't
like,
think you
kind
would say
of
that.
Hybrid. Like we always like attacked the castles and then did our own pseudo defense on the castle themselves. I'm not sure exactly how Glitch does it, but most of the time in attack and defend, like your goal is to put your flag on a machine. There's a score bot that goes and reads those flags. But once you compromise the machine, you can do a lot of funny things to like make the teams confused. My favorite thing was always like modifying IP tables. So when the score bot tried to read the flag, it went back to our castle. But when the defenders of the other team were on it, and they're like, how is this team getting points? We're looking at the file on the server. It shows their flag. So they never really knew exactly how we took it. So I always like the shenanigans you can do when you play like a hybrid role of it, like defending on the other team's castle.
Very cool. How about you, Bailey? Why don't you give a nice introduction to the audience for us?
Hi, everybody. I'm Bailey Marshall. You might know me as the Security Rex from lots of LinkedIn and YouTube videos and stuff. I actually have been in the industry about the same time as Nick, right around 2016. So I'm cresting my decade in my midlife crisis into cybersecurity. So I've loved doing stuff like this. I'm really just here to be a huge supporter of women in cybersecurity, obviously myself included. I just recently took over a CTO role at a company called Stealth Cyber, and we have pretty much of our team of 10, like 8 or 9 of us are all women. So it's an amazing thing to see women really coming up into the industry and taking charge. But I was actually shocked by Nick's response too. I'm definitely like a red team. Like I like the offense stuff. So it's good that we have kind of both personalities here.
Excellent. So Bailey, have you had any milestones this year?
Oh yeah, quite a few. So this year has been a whirlwind of emotion. Like I said, it's kind of been my midlife crisis of cybersecurity. I think once you hit about 10 years into the industry, you kind of think, well, what am I doing for the industry? What am I doing for myself? Am I enjoying this? Do I need to move past everything? And something that I've gotten super excited about this year is AI and LLMs. I actually just had to shut down my computer this week because I was training my own local LLM and it was taking up all of my compute power. So something that's really exciting about us being able to move into a role that I actually am able to impact people is creating more certifications, more trainings, and things like that. And so we've got a red team engineer course through Stealth Cyber called the CART. It's the Certified AI Red Team Engineer course. And we've gotten a lot of really good feedback on that. So AI and LLMs are my huge passion right now. And obviously coming from an offensive security background, it's been really cool to get stuff out there. So I'm excited to see what we've got some good plans for the next year. So I guess just have to wait and see.
Excellent, excellent. So any good cyber game has shoutcasters, but we also have a game master. Welcome, Josiah. Tell us a little bit about you.
Hi. Thanks, Jess. I am Josiah, go by Bootkid pretty much everywhere. I've been playing CTFs for a long time through college and beyond, and most recently playing on the US Cyber team. And that's what really introduced me to attack defense. I got really excited about all of the tooling that you can build around attack defense and just so many layers of metagame that exist within that. So been doing that for a little while, have built out this glitch range platform with the goal of bringing attack defense to more people, making it more approachable. And just there's a lot of layers, as we'll see today, diving into stuff. Just a lot of overhead and stuff for people to have to be able to manage all the tools and things. So trying to make that a little bit easier, bring a little bit more of a common platform to everyone. And of course, make sure that everyone has fun along the way.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So let's talk about the game. Josiah, tell us a little bit about what are we playing today?
Yeah. So this is an attack defense style game, commonly called FOSS style attack defense, after one of the common, or one of the oldest actually competitions that follows that format. So the format for this game is that every team is given a vuln box, a vulnerable server that they have full control over. That server is running some set of vulnerable services. In the case of today, there's 5 different services, and those all have custom code written that is running some service. So some of the services today are like a password manager. Some of them are like some sort of a notes app or things like that. And then the objective is for the teams to analyze those services, find vulnerabilities in them, and then both patch those vulnerabilities whether that be through modifying the code or adding network block rules or things of that nature. And then also write exploits to attack other teams. So there's a lot of things going on at once. There's a lot of coordination across the team necessary. There's also a lot of tooling required. So some of the tools that are important in attack defense are having some sort of a network analyzer. So something that allows you to see all of the incoming traffic. Something we've seen today is one team will get an exploit that maybe they've been working on for a really long time. But if they didn't do a good job of disguising it on the network, then other teams can copy it really quickly. And they'll start stealing that exploit and throwing it against other teams. So having a tool that allows you to have visibility into network traffic is really important. And then another common tool is having some sort of a thrower. So the scoring engine every tick, so every 2 minutes, is logging into all the services and planting fresh flags. And when it does that, it plants them under some sort of an identifier called a flag ID. And so when you run your exploit, you have to give your exploit two things. One of them is a target IP, which is different for each of the teams. And then the second thing is the flag ID that you want to target and capture the flag for. And so having some sort of a system, a thrower to orchestrate all those exploits of pulling down the flag IDs from the scoreboard API, and then running your exploits and then submitting all the flags you capture. Automating that process is really important. So we've seen across the board, Glitch does come with some tooling. So we've seen some teams use that. And we've also seen some teams bring their own custom tooling that they've developed to the game today.
Very cool. Well, with that, why don't I step out, let you share a little bit about what's going on the game, and you three take it over. Sound good? I'll be back a little later.
I'll go ahead and share the scoreboard. So this is also available .ad for anyone at home watching that wants to follow along. This scoreboard is all public. But at the top here across the columns, it lists the services for today. So there's Scram, Notes.sh, Federated, 3FA, and IPv5. There's some fun play on words there for a couple of them. And then down the rows are the teams for today. So currently in first place is Team Europe with 3,800 points. And second are the Ultra Season Chef Girls. In third, the Pipeline. And then going down the board, the Cyber Lions. I'll attempt to pronounce this. I'm going to be honest, I don't know how to say their name, but Cyberjetsu Imson Server, maybe. The DSU Trojan Horses, We Are Wonder Woman, the Lady Hackers, and the Citadel. So you can see early on, which is kind of what I think we're focusing on towards the start of this, there was some a little bit of jostling around. So right at the start, Team Europe started off a bit low. And that was, I think, because they were doing some work with some of their tools that caused their services to go down for a bit. But they were able to pick back up and then find a bunch of exploits pretty quickly. Going through these real quick, I can share, kind of walk through some of the code that the players are looking at right now. And then Ipsec and Bailey, as you have any notes or things that you see or anything, feel free to jump in and we can go from there. So just starting out with the, I'll actually start at the end. The IPv5 service is sort of obviously somewhere between IPv4 and IPv6. So this service, we can actually try connecting to it. It's a Rust service. Looking at the source code here, I actually don't write a lot of Rust code, so I did have AI help me out a little bit in writing this service. But basically, there is a TCP network server that allows you to log in, and then you can register networks. Or first we'll have to register a user. So I'll just register a user, log in as that user. And then from there, you're able to like create your own virtual networks. And the fun thing about IPv5 is that there are 5 subnets instead of, or sorry, 5 octets instead of 4 in IPv4. So you can do things like creating your own subnet. And then once you've created it, you can see that you have a subnet. You can add a device to that subnet. So when you do that, you specify just the subnet ID. You can give it a device name. We'll just give it an IP address, and it was created with this UUID. And then what you can do is you can actually specify that devices will like serve some text. This is just like a basic netcat server, basically. So you would do something like adding a server. You would specify the UID. I can specify the port that I want it to listen on. And then I can just provide a string. And now within kind of this virtual IP space, I've now created a device that is serving hi there on port 1337. From there, I will attempt to connect to this device. So all of that logic is stored in this TCP handler. So it just kind of loops over this and then handles like the different options. So there's a register handler that does that, things like that. The way you actually connect, there's 2 parts. There's this standard like TCP socket, and there's also a WebSocket interface. So you can use something like WebSocket to connect to, I'll connect to the same server that I was testing with earlier. And this is on port 5885. And then I'll just double check the endpoint for this in the handler. I believe you just give it the UUID here. Nope. One moment, and I'll pull up one of my examples. But yeah, so this is kind of like a standard how a common AD service might look. There's some means of storing information, and then it's a /WS. And then once you connect, it's ready. I can just say connect to this IP that I created on port 1337. And I believe, nope.
See, this is real cybersecurity when you know that the person that actually made the system has to go through and troubleshoot. That's literally how it always happens. Everybody thinks it's so easy.
Yeah. And this is the process like that a lot of the players would go through at the start, right? This is the first time they're seeing the services, so they just have to dig through the source code and figure out how to use this thing. But anyway, got it working, and it printed out like the string that I had saved. And so now it's up to the players to try to figure out, okay, the scoring engine will actually go through and it will save the flags here. So how can we read through this code and figure out how we can get access to these like private networks? And a little bit later, I'll go through kind of the details on this service and how that works. So yeah, that's kind of an example service. Some of the other ones that we have, there's this fun one that's 3FA. So instead of a 2FA code, there is theoretically requires 3 forms of authentication. Actually, it doesn't. But I'm gonna guess this is probably taken already. I'll sign up with an email, get QR codes, and then it actually shows you these 2FA registration QR codes for a one-time password. And these actually work. So the players have had to figure out how to parse these QR codes in their exploits, and like build some scripting around the ability to work within the OTP infrastructure. And you can scan these and they'll actually like generate OTPs, and then you can use that to sign into the service later. This one's just like I'll actually go ahead and scan these real quick just to get connected. But there's also like a password manager. So we can sign in and then add entries. And so the checker is signing into this password manager and then storing their flags as like their passwords, basically, is the idea. And you have to defend that. So this one's kind of fun, specifically because when you look at the network request that it's doing, and you go to view a password, the response is well, like here you can see it's base 64. But if we go over to CyberChef, it's not actually the password itself. So on the back end, it's storing the passwords with some key. And then on the front end, it has this, I believe it's this password salt is the value that it's storing it with. So nothing that actually like provides any security there, but it makes it a little bit harder to automate. And if you're looking at network traffic, you're not going to see the flags just coming in and out. So there's a bunch of little things like that.
So if someone then put the same password back in, would it then give them the clear text?
In this case,
so if you took that test that got you base 64, and then you copy that base 64 back in, or the decoded, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you said it's just an XOR. So if you XOR it twice, then theoretically you get back.
Yeah. I think it would. In this case, it actually, if you look at the initial, if you just like get/API/me, the response has this salt in it. So it's not meant to be hidden at all, really. But yeah, I think in theory it would. That XOR is unique per user as well. So I don't think that's exploitable to get a flag that way, but that's definitely one way. And that way of thinking comes up in another service as well. There's a fun service called Scram, which is actually a binary. So all that the players get is just a binary, and they have to decompile it. Yeah, I'll just show connecting to it, and we can kind of talk through that if we want. So this is the secure content retrieval and archival mechanism, or SCRAM. And one of the things that this does is it fancifies text. So you can put in some text and it spits it out. And it is, if you squint your eyes, it's ASCII art. It's a little bit hard to see, but it is there. And basically all of these letters are just randomly picked digits. And then you can take this text and if you copy that and then unfancify it, you can paste that in and it gives you back the original. I actually, this specific mechanism, originally when I wrote this service, I didn't have this in there. The checker was just doing the ASCII art rendering on the checker side. And then players actually had to write something to on ASCII artify the flags when they got them, which turned out to be really, really painful. And they didn't appreciate doing that in my play testing with a couple of people. So I provided this additional function that actually does that for them. But yeah, that's another case of kind of using the service. The interesting thing that I saw though, I don't know if I have the traffic up right now, but there's a couple teams exploiting the service, and they are actually sending the ASCII art flags to the other teams after because the way that you steal it is you steal you only get the ASCII art version. And then they're actually sending it back to the teams and asking them to unfancify it for them, when that's actually creating extra network noise versus it's the same algorithm running locally. They could just use their own service and do it that way. So just something kind of interesting, a little bit bigger of a signature than is necessary to exploit this service.
Which service did you see get exploited first? Like, how long did it take for first blood? This is what, like an 8-hour competition?
It is, yeah. There were they actually came in. Several of the services came in very near to the same time. Let me double check the timestamps. I think the first service, or the first blood, was an hour and 9 minutes in, and that was on Federated, which is
the
password manager. And we can look through some of those initial exploits if we want. So I have this exploit up. This was, or no, I'm sorry, I misspoke. 3FA was actually the first exploit, but very close behind it was Federated, and was Welchex from the Ultra Seasoned Chef Girls, was the author of this exploit. And so if we want to kind of read through this exploit, we can and pull it apart. Going through this exploit, and again, if you see anything that stands out in it, feel free to jump in. The first thing it looks like they're doing is, like, they have some primitive that allows them to leak files from the server. And it looks like that is just using the get me API endpoint. Let me look through. So we can even dive into the code and see exactly where that lives. So here's that endpoint. And it looks like...
Are most of these services done in Rust?
No, this one is JavaScript.
This is JavaScript, yeah.
All of them are a different language. So IPv5 is Rust, 3FA is PHP, Federated is JavaScript, Scram is C, and then nodes.sh is Golang. So a big variety.
Do they get the source code?
A lot of people.
Yeah, they do get their source code, all the source code. So the only service that they don't have source for is Scram. That one they just get the binary.
Yeah, you've got to have a wide variety of people on these teams to be able. I don't know one person that knows all of those languages combined. This is definitely a team effort here.
Yeah, for sure. And I know, actually, I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts on AI usage as well. It's been a really hot topic in the CTF community. Like maybe a year ago, it would have been a really, really good tool. It still is a good tool, but there was kind of, I feel like kind of a golden time where it was really good just for like translating things. You could just take a block of Rust and throw it in there and ask it to explain it. But I'm interested in y'all's thoughts now on AI and CTFs.
I think it's actually...
you want me to go?
You can go first, Bailey.
I was gonna say. So, being with Stealth Cyber for the time that I have been, we're a very AI first company. My CEO and I, Chris, have both had an offensive security background. So we were coming in with the mindset of, okay, offensive security, let's put some blue team in here and let's make it a purple team company. But AI first security has always, or, AI securing AI, using AI to secure all of those things. At this point, you're going to fall behind if you're not using it. So when we were coming up with ideas on how to make our company better as ones that actually use the tools that we have now, AI is a very big part of our company, but it's human in the loop AI, right? So if you're talking about from a big contextual standpoint, that's way up here versus when you start getting down to like CTFs and stuff. But we do have our AI red teaming certification. And one of the questions that I had to Chris before we put it out was, well, how do we know that they're not going to go use AI to bust our AI certification, right? And his response was, well, isn't that what you would want them to do during an actual engagement? They're going to be using AI to ask these questions. And so we came up with a way to kind of secure the exam itself from being something that they could just prompt something and get the answer, right? But with us, it's certifications that we know with these skills out in the real world, they're going to be using AI, right? So why not give people the tools to be able to do it in a way that's methodical and makes sense? And also, one of the big conversations around AI usage, especially in the offensive security community and defensive security as well, is customer data. And as long as you're sanitizing the data, I've done pen tests all year long, and I'm using AI to ask for specific exploits, not with specific customer data. So as long as there's education around sanitizing things like that, AI use and stuff like this is going to be a no-brainer. We might not even be having that conversation at the CTF next year because it might just be, hey, everybody's going to be using AI, and that's just how we have to work with it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm kind of on the other fence. I like it, like I like using it, but I also think it's kind of scary. Mainly because when we use it in CTFs, we can't use it the same way we do in real life because a lot of these AIs will detect you're in a CTF and remove all the guardrails. So like you could probably point Claude at any of these challenges, and I'm somewhat confident it's going to solve every single one of them just because it's good at that. And like you used some AI to make one of the challenges, so it definitely can solve that one. But if you pointed it, like if I just had that on a website, like I had that challenge as a fake company and you pointed at that and it couldn't find it's a CTF, it's going to deny your request because now you're hacking a company. So a lot of people are getting some kind of false like hope with these CTFs where they just pointed at it, it works, they think they're getting this, and then they go into the workforce and then they're having trouble. And then what I also find is when people run into trouble, that's when they stop thinking and then start throwing things they shouldn't at it. Or maybe they'll run like, oh, I tried to copy and paste, something didn't work. Okay, I'm just going to now have Claude run dangerously on my computer. And now it goes and says, oh, I'm going to read this tmux pane. And then in that tmux pane, you have like some of your internal notes that you didn't mean to send anywhere. And it just sends it over to the frontier model like, oh God, it just sent all of that. Like, I think that's going to be really scary going forward. And then I also think there's just not a lot of education around it. So like a lot of people use subscriptions. I don't know a single person that is buying raw API because that's where like zero data retention lives. But that's also 5 to 10 times the expense, right? One of my friends spends $1,200 in AI subscriptions because he has like 3 Claude Maxes, a GPT Pro, Gemini Ultra, whatever. And he uses all those tokens, but he's doing it for just like testing open source things. So he's not concerned about the data that goes off to the third party. But I think a lot of companies go for the subscriptions, not realizing the risk it poses to them. And because they're doing that, there's like it's exfil as a service, in my opinion, right? I can't imagine like hospitals who are notoriously bad at infosec policies that have a lot of contractors for them to have some way to block AI. There was a time, and this was like the golden era, I think, and this was like last month. When there was a magic string you could put on it. It was like the Anthropic magic refusal string. And you could just put that at the top of the website, and then the AI would say, you know what? I shouldn't attack this. I'm going to ignore it. But now, like, because security people and like malware authors love to mess with things, they started putting that in their illegitimate things. And then AI started ignoring it. So now most AI companies say, you know what? I detected this magic refusal string. It may be prompt injection. So I'm going to trust you. What do you want me to do? And then, of course, as the operator is like, oh, just go ahead and ignore that, right? So there's this weird era that we live where I think AI is like overpowered. And I'm assuming there will be more guardrails that come on in the future. But right now, we're just like, it's crazy. And as a CTF, like, even if you find ways to stop CTF AIs, I've been experimenting a lot with tar pits. So that means like when you detect it's an AI attacking you, which is somewhat easy to do, at least detect 95%. The top 5% of people will always prompt a way around you. But if you just concern yourself with detecting the basics and you block it right away, then AI is going to say, hey, I was blocked, and find a way around that block, because that's what it does. It wants to make the human happy. So you can't really ever tell the AI to block it. You have to point it backwards in time and then send it in this infinite loop, which then frustrates players. And I kind of find it funny because they start burning all their tokens. And I also think if more CTFs start doing that, that may make the frontier models start like keeping the guardrails on the content, right? Because I personally have the Claude Max 200. That's like $200 a month. And if you ever ask it, you can say, hey, go look at my project directory. Look how many tokens you have burned this month, and then convert it to US dollars. My $200 have ended up costing Anthropic around like 6,300, I think, because I just have it constantly going. So it's not going to be scalable. If enough people start just burning their money, maybe guardrails will come on. I don't know, because we're such a niche. It may not even like register on their leaderboard that these CTFs are burning money, but those are kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, I definitely see both sides of that. It's funny you mentioned the Claude refusal strings. I actually threw a couple of them in one of these services just because I was curious if it would mess with teams or not. So I'm interested to see to hear from the teams and see if that messed with anything at all. But
2 weeks ago it would have, today it doesn't.
Yeah. No, yeah.
And that's the annoying thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also think it kind of brings this whole like pay to win aspect that I just don't like in
Mhm.
CTFs, because it's whoever has the most tokens. Because if you have enough, you can just say, hey, alter things, spend as much time, throw a few models at it simultaneously. Like the orchestration is going to be the scary part.
Mhm.
I've also had times where like regions have gone out. So it'd really suck if this is a global competition, which it is, if like let's see, it's 4:30 Eastern time. So let's say this is like prime time for Eastern. Claude has issues on like on US servers.
Yeah.
Over in India, maybe it's perfectly fine because that's a completely different time. That's like 11 p.m. there, right? So it kind of makes this whole weird aspect where, this competition, these players could use it, these players couldn't, just because of some type of outage.
Mhm.
I think that's all going to be interesting. The last thing I'm kind of worried about is AI becoming like a tax in the future. And by that, I mean, like I said, I spend 200, they like have to like pay $6,300 in compute. That's not really scalable. I think AI is extremely cheap right now. And once people get hooked on it, I see the prices rising, and that could price people out. And that's where like I'm also scared of.
Yeah.
That's why
The
you
other thing that
run
I've
local
seen.
models.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I said that's right. That's why I'm teaching my own local models, for that exact same reason, because I am not going to be one of those people that gets hooked on AI and then the price goes up and I'm sitting there like, what am I going to do? So right now, while AI is cheap, using that to train your own and get yourself beefed up there. But that's from my like personal nerdy side of things.
Yeah. The other thing that I've seen that is, I think, concerning is that it makes the barrier to entry to CTF significantly higher, in that it's able to solve all the easy and medium challenges just out the gate. And then nobody learns how to solve easy and medium challenges. And then you get to the hard challenges and you have no idea what you're doing. So you have to be really disciplined now. I think there is a much easier way to cheat yourself out of learning some of the basics. So yeah. Well, I think we are going to take a break shortly. In a little bit, I believe we're coming back and we'll take a look at the live last few minutes of the competition. So we will see you all shortly.
Experience revolutionized cyber training. Choose from over 100 interactive lessons among dozens of learning paths. Train your team in safe simulated scenarios. Create your own learning paths or use ours to evaluate your team. Create and assign quizzes to interactive lessons to further validate training. Track your team's performance. Create custom, game-based training using our patented Ford system. Create advanced red/blue team training or simple security awareness and onboarding. Import database tables to query in lessons. Haiku. Give your team the training they need.
Hello, I'm Ed Scotus, president of the SANS Technology Institute College and director of the team that builds cyber ranges for the SANS Institute. I have a question for you. Have you practiced your cyber skills today? Well, in the world of cybersecurity, staying ahead isn't just about knowing more, it's about practicing more with real-world hands-on skills. That's why here at the SANS Institute, we believe in the power of continuous hands-on practice to keep your cyber skills sharp and effective no matter your level of expertise. Cyber ranges are the perfect way to achieve this goal. They're an interactive, hands-on set of learning exercises in a controlled, safe, and isolated environment with replicated networks, systems, and applications. Practitioners can test and improve their cybersecurity skills with real-world challenge scenarios without any risk. At SANS Cyber Ranges, we offer a diverse set of challenges designed to cater to all skill levels, from those just starting their cybersecurity journey to seasoned experts looking to stay ahead of the curve. Our ranges are built with industry-leading content and structured to provide a progressive learning experience. That means you can start with the basics and advance to complex scenarios that will even challenge the most experienced professionals. And if you're looking to tailor your training to meet specific team or organizational goals, we can customize our ranges to fit your unique requirements. Hiring and promoting with SANS Cyber Ranges is an effective way to assess, enhance, improve retention, and develop an individual or a team's competency in cybersecurity. Participants can receive a detailed assessment of their performance. This provides insights into how an individual or a team did across distinct categories of all levels, breaking down into a personalized training roadmap with which courses are recommended to improve or develop skills according to individual roles. So whether you're looking to hone your skills, certify your team, or just stay one step ahead of cyber threats, SANS Cyber Ranges are your gateway to becoming an elite expert cybersecurity professional. Reach out to our advisors today and start your tailored cybersecurity training journey with SANS Cyber Ranges.
For any business, innovation can't happen without security. But that security can sometimes feel cumbersome. That's why from day one, AWS has made security their top priority. And no matter the size or type of your organization, they can help you move quickly, securely, and with confidence to enable your business. AWS is architected to be the most secure cloud computing environment available today. All AWS services are designed to protect your cloud environment, enabling you to innovate quickly and securely. In fact, customers say the security of their apps and data on AWS is materially better than on their own on-premises infrastructure. Get the level of protection you need by accessing more than 300 security, compliance, and governance services and features, as well as thousands more security solutions in the AWS Marketplace. Your builders can move fast, writing code and improving security posture at the same time. And AWS Security Automation helps ensure your teams spend their time on the highest value tasks. Use proven security from AWS and accelerate your innovation today.
are throwing exploits successfully. Red indicates that they're losing flags, and then yellow is any downtime in their service. What we can see here is they had some issues with getting flags thrown. And I think a lot of that was some of their exploits were like sending more requests than they needed to. They were trying to get all of the flags instead of just the one that they were supposed to be targeting. So yeah, I think that's probably largely responsible for some of their performance there. Looking through the scoreboard, another thing notable, the Cyberlines have a really good defense compared even to the team above them in the pipeline. They did a really good job of blocking outbound flags throughout this, which is notable. Try to pull up a couple other examples here of people working. So this was someone on the Ultra Seasoned Chef Girls going through, and just kind of an example of kind of what I showed earlier, but just players triaging this initially. So this is her connecting to Scram, checking out like what tools she has available and things like that. And then she'll actually go through and start decompiling the service, pulling it apart and trying to figure out, again, just checking what tools are available, and then looking for things that might be useful in the context of the service, going through that.
And Scram is the service that they only get a compiled binary, and that was a C program.
Yeah. And in this case, they are they're trying to use just tools on the box. My approach to this would be to pull it back and throw it in Ghidra or something like that locally, but this is another perfectly valid way to do it.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about like AI usage, and I think like decompiling stuff is going to be something that's like traditionally extremely hard for CTFs to protect against, because there's no protection you can really put in that protects once everything's on the user's computer. And IDA, Ghidra, and Binary Ninja all have really good MCP servers for AI. So like a lot of the, like, if we went back, I want to say like 5 years ago is when Ghidra came out. It may be longer, but everyone thought like, oh, having this decompiler is kind of like cheating. IDA had it, but it was kind of, you had to pay money to get IDA's decompiler. And then everyone started using the decompiler, like, this isn't cheating. Its output is still hard to read because I don't read C. And now, like, you can hook it up to any AI you want, and then it will convert that decompiled code into something even more human readable. So I'm kind of surprised to see people still using radar and other things via command line, and then try and find the vulnerability versus bring it back, like you said.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's look at some other highlights from some other people. So here I have a recording of another player. This is someone from the Cyberlines building out their exploit for notes.sh. This actually wasn't an exploit that worked, but what they're trying to do here is to do some sort of a directory traversal. Notes.sh is an SSH-based service. And so it allows you to like SCP your notes up and down from the service. And so their guess here is that there is some way for them to like do directory traversal through SCP. In fact, in this case, it's not vulnerable to that. But they spent a little while trying to build this out, which is a valid strategy. We can even dive into the source code of that service just a little bit. It's written in Golang and uses this charm bracelet wish as the interface for it. So if I double check 3022, I believe I can just connect to it like that. Yeah. And it just gives you a prompt here just via SSH instead of netcat. And the interesting thing about that is that it's a lot harder to capture the network traffic. Like you basically have to insert a bunch of debug statements in your program because you're just capturing encrypted SSH traffic otherwise. So going back, there's also a clip here from DSU, Incline from DSU building out their, I'll slow this down a little bit. This is building out their exploit for IPv5. And I'll back up and let's take a look at how they did that exactly. So it looks like basically what they're doing is they discovered that the network ID doesn't have to end in 0. So it doesn't have to be like a valid network ID. It can be any IP. And when it checks for uniqueness of the network ID that you're registering, because it doesn't allow you to register the same network ID as someone else, because that would let you control their network. But when it checks for uniqueness, it's basically just doing a string match. So you can register a network ID of like 10.0.0.2/24, which isn't the subnet ID, but does intersect. And then all the devices that you put on that network can now talk to the devices on the target network. So it lets you kind of hijack the networks that way.
I think we have about 5 minutes left in the competition.
Yeah.
Do you want to go back to the scoreboard?
Sure. Yeah. Let's check it out. So yeah, Ultra Seasoned Chef Girls are catching up gradually here. They have about a 3-point gain on Team Europe per tick, but there's only 3 ticks left. So it is looking like Team Europe will have enough points to carry them through there.
It is interesting. What's the yellow markers for like Ultra Seasoned Chef Girls on Scram?
Yeah. They are so in that case, they were failing the SLA checks. So green here means that they passed the SLA check for that tick. Yellow means that they failed some of the checks. So there's 3 different checks run. There's the planting a flag, a new flag for that tick, one for getting a previous flag, and then one for just verifying the general functionality of the service. If they miss 1 or 2 of those, they get yellow. And if they miss 3, then they get red. And if they fail any at all, then they don't get points for that tick.
Yeah, I was saying that was kind of interesting because they're gaining on Europe, but also losing points because of SLA. So that probably indicates that they were focused a lot more on attacking, and maybe they just kicked into rhythm too late, because it looks like they're getting a lot more attack points than Europe. So they probably did a better job scripting things out. But again, if the competition only had 30 minutes, in this case 3 minutes left, there's not enough time to gain those points. But I think it is interesting. I wonder if Europe slowed down purposely. Like sometimes like first place is the worst place to be in a tournament because you kind of get lazy, and then like the second or third place team does come back. This is attack and defense, so it's a bit harder for that to happen. That's notorious and like Jeopardy based when like a team is hoarding flags, is just not submitting them until the end. But I'm kind of curious, like, did Europe go full blast the entire thing, or did they just think, you know what, we may have won. Let's just keep our services online, keep things manageable. Because we see them like they're the only one in the top 3 that have all greens, right? So they're just making sure things are running.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point, because actually we saw earlier, Ultra Seasoned Chef Girls was the first team to find the exploit in notes.sh. It was a really hard exploit. But they picked which teams they threw it against. They didn't throw it against all the teams, and they specifically didn't throw it against Team Europe because that was their main competition at that point. So being in first definitely comes with some disadvantages too.
It is funny, like they picked the hardest service to exploit, kind of, and also one of the hardest to identify, because SSH is all like encrypted with perfect forward secrecy. Like even if they threw that against Europe, I would be kind of impressed if Europe could piece together how that exploit worked quickly without a lot of prep on that to kind of intercept it, right? If it was let's say like 3FA, which I think you said is like a PHP web service, probably HTTP, all clear text. Like I'd be scared to throw that one because that's easy for defenders to kind of see. But SSH, that is a notoriously hard service to like identify what's going on.
Yeah, it was some really interesting calculus that went into that decision. And what's interesting too is actually they didn't throw it against Europe, and then about 4 or 5 ticks later, Europe found a different exploit in that service. So it didn't end up really mattering anyway. In the end. And in fact, I'm not sure if they started throwing their exploit against Europe. My guess, because they found 2 different exploits, and my guess is that they're both vulnerable to each other still. We know that Ultra Seasoned Chef Girls is still vulnerable to Europe's exploit here. They're losing 2 flags. And maybe Europe is vulnerable because they're still losing 1 flag. And so far, it's only those 2 teams that have been attacking. So it looks like they are attacking each other now, but they weren't for a little while.
Yeah, and that looks like it's a wrap right there.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. So that is the final scores.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Team Europe, Ultra Seasoned Chef Girls, and the Pipeline for the podium finish there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ultra Seasoned Chef Girls were not that far behind Team Europe. We could even see them going back and forth with how many points they were getting. They were clearing out their SLAs right there till the end. So mad props to that. Team Europe, you pulled away and got it.
Yeah, you can see around like tick 160, Ultra Seasoned Chef Girls like kicked it in, and they're climbing faster. They just, if the competition went on another hour or 2, perhaps they would have passed them, but it just ended now.
Yeah. All right. I think we're going to
give it a couple of minutes. We have the captains from the first and second team come joining us in just a minute.
Awesome. So yeah, we will be back in just a couple minutes. And I will also be going through, talking through all the intended exploits for a lot of these services as well.
Experience revolutionized cyber training. Choose from over 100 interactive lessons among dozens of learning paths. Train your team in safe simulated scenarios. Create your own learning paths or use ours to evaluate your team. Create and assign quizzes to interactive lessons to further validate training. Track your team's performance. Create custom, game-based training using our patented Ford system. create advanced red/blue team training or simple security awareness and onboarding. Import database tables to query in lessons. Haiku. Give your team the training they need.
Hello, I'm Ed Scotus, President of the SANS Technology Institute College and Director of the team that builds cyber ranges for the SANS Institute. I have a question for you. Have you practiced your cyber skills today? Well, in the world of cybersecurity, staying ahead isn't just about knowing more, it's about practicing more with real-world hands-on skills. That's why here at the SANS Institute, we believe in the power of continuous hands-on practice to keep your cyber skills sharp and effective, no matter your level of expertise. Cyber ranges are the perfect way to achieve this goal. They're an interactive, hands-on set of learning exercises in a controlled, safe, and isolated environment with replicated networks, systems, and applications. Practitioners can test and improve their cybersecurity skills with real-world challenge scenarios without any risk. At SANS Cyber Ranges, we offer a diverse set of challenges designed to cater to all skill levels, from those just starting their cybersecurity journey to seasoned experts looking to stay ahead of the curve. Our ranges are built with industry-leading content and structured to provide a progressive learning experience. That means you can start with the basics and advance to complex scenarios that will even challenge the most experienced professionals. And if you're looking to tailor your training to meet specific team or organizational goals, we can customize our ranges to fit your unique requirements. Hiring and promoting with SANS Cyber Ranges is an effective way to assess, enhance, improve retention, and develop an individual or a team's competency in cybersecurity. Participants can receive a detailed assessment of their performance. This provides insights into how an individual or a team did across distinct categories of all levels, breaking down into a personalized training roadmap with which courses are recommended to improve or develop skills according to individual roles. So whether you're looking to hone your skills, certify your team, or just stay one step ahead of cyber threats, SANS Cyber Ranges are your gateway to becoming an elite expert cybersecurity professional. Reach out to our advisors today and start your tailored cybersecurity training journey with SANS Cyber Ranges.
Hey everyone, welcome back. So a big congratulations to Team Europe for winning this year's Wicked6 CTF. It is late over there. They've got exams, they've worked really hard, and so they are off. But we've got Shiloh here. She's a captain for Ultra Seasoned Cyber Chefs, and you guys absolutely crushed it, especially towards the end there. We saw that you guys were going up almost, outpacing Team Europe. Can you tell us what you guys were thinking about at that very end there?
Yeah, I mean, we did do the math, unfortunately, and realized we were probably not going to overtake unless something catastrophic happened. And I don't wish catastrophe even on Team Europe. But it was just definitely like a very like positive kind of thing. Like we were all talking about like, we kind of come to terms like we're going to surpass them, but it did like feel really good every tick to look up and know like, oh, like we are like on the right path. Like seeing that the number of points we're gaining every time was usually higher it definitely like boosted the mood. And it was kind of in a nice place because there wasn't that like overwhelming crushing pressure. But it was still like, let's see how much we can bridge this gap. So it was a good place to be in, and it was a very positive environment.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us what you guys went in with a mindset of. Were you guys just going to start defending right off the bat? Were you guys going to go in with a mindset of getting as many flags as you wanted, something in between? Because both you and Team Europe went off pretty well, and you very much were in parallel with each other.
Yeah, we had a pretty good sized team, which was nice. I think we had 7 people, maybe 6 or 7. But we kind of divided up pretty evenly. Like we had a couple people who were very dedicated to thinking defensively. Lori, like very right off the bat, she had a patch ready, I think, in the first hour, which ended up being vital. I don't know if it was noted on the live stream, but we had the only service that didn't get flagged in the whole game. And that was because Lori got a patch on it probably in the first hour. And yeah, so she was working on that. And then we had most of the rest of the group working on exploits. I would say we definitely started with the mindset of wanting to get exploits. Because with an exploit, if you get it to work, there's a 100% chance that you're going to get a point. And with a patch, there's always that chance that you're going to reboot your box and it doesn't work or it takes something down. So I think generally we like to focus more on exploits, but we did have people thinking defensively, and that ended up benefiting us a lot that we did some of that from the get-go.
Right, absolutely. So you guys played last year. And so compared to your two experiences between the 2 years, what are some things that you guys think you improved upon this year with that experience?
So unfortunately, I actually worked the event last year. But 2 years ago it was Hack the Box. But I mean, this team, it's hard to say, but even like I work with these women on the US cyber team, obviously. So I've gotten to play with them in several other contexts. And definitely smoothness, like being able to be like, oh, okay, I see a bug, like now I know how to turn this into an exploit. And not only do I know how to do that, but I know how to make it integrate with all the tools and make this go off smoothly. So that was really cool to see. Or there would very much be situations where someone would be like, hey, like, how do I get the list of flag IDs? And somebody would be able to be like, oh, you do exactly this. So there were very little times where somebody wanted to make an effect happen and somebody didn't immediately know how to guide them to do it. So that was really nice. And then there was also a lot of us like naturally understanding who was good at what. So when I was working on a service that I thought was going to be like BinX and it turned out to be cryptography, like I immediately knew who to throw it to because I already knew what their skill sets were. So that was very handy.
Very cool. Shiloh, congratulations to you and the team on second place. We are really closing up on Wicked6 for 2026. Any advice for women who are thinking about or just starting to get into attack and defense? Anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, it can definitely seem very overwhelming and seem like it's just too much to handle right at the beginning. I remember when I first started doing CTFs, it was like terrifying to me. I was like, I'm never gonna understand this. These people, they know what's going on. I don't, I should give up now. But I took time, I got familiar with the set, I kind of studied how the game works, got familiar with the tools, and once it kind of like clicked, I realized that it's like probably the most fun way to play CTFs. So I would really encourage if you see this and you're like, oh, I can never do that, believe that you can. And even then, even if you join a team, like you don't have to know how to do everything. Like I've definitely played with women before who didn't get a chance to use the tooling or didn't get a chance to do it before, and there's always some aspect you can do. So even if you don't know what a flag ID is and you cannot conceptualize writing an exploit and the word thrower means nothing to you, you can always open up some code in VS Code and just parse through it and go like, oh, there's a bug, and tell your friend and let her figure it out. But there is no like every part of it can be like kind of itemized down to something that's more approachable if you're just willing to try to approach it.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Shiloh. Give our congrats to the team out there. And big congrats again to Team Europe. One of these years we're going to knock them off the top, but not this year. They won last year as well. So looking forward to the next competition in Dublin. That will be the time we do it, Shiloh.
Surely that'll be it.
For those that don't know, the US Cyber team is headed to face off with Team Europe and other teams at the Women's International Cybersecurity Challenge. July 9th and 10th will be in Dublin. I believe that will be streamed. We'll wait and see. But that'll be the next time the teams meet head to head. So thank you, Shiloh. Alrighty, so that concludes kind of the tournament piece of this. Now what we want to do is transition over to Josiah to talk through the challenges. But before we do that, Josiah, I just want to thank our shoutcasters, Bailey and IPSEC. Thank you guys for joining us once again this year. It's always a pleasure to have you, your insights. I particularly enjoyed the conversation on AI today, as I'm part of the steering committee for ICC, and we're kind of struggling with that right now. And we see both sides as well. So it's pretty interesting. But thank you all for being here, and have a wonderful week. And Josiah, we'll focus in on you and some of the walkthroughs and highlights that you want to share for the teams that are watching.
Sounds good. Well, thank you all. First off, thank you to all the teams for playing. This was a ton of fun. I hope you all had as much fun as I did watching you. So it was really, really cool to see everyone play and work through these challenges. So to the teams watching, if you, as I'm walking through these, if you have any questions or things you want to shout out, just drop them in the general Discord there. I'll be watching that as well, and I can respond to things there. So if there's anything that I skim over or don't cover enough, feel free to let me know. But so for everyone online, there were 5 services, as I mentioned earlier. I'll just go through each of them and talk through some of the exploits that were intended in them. Starting out on the far right with IPv5, this was a Rust service. It had a combination of a standard TCP server and also a WebSocket server broken out into these TCP and web handler files. So in this service, it was relatively simple. There was just one vulnerability, and it was a logic bug in the way that it validated the overlap between subnets. So you were not able to register subnets that had already been registered, because that would allow you to hijack them and access devices on those subnets. But the way it validated that was just a basic string comparison. And so you were able to register offsets within the subnet or expand the size of your subnet to overlap into the target subnet and then get access to the device that was containing the flag. So again, relatively simple. I think most of the teams got exploits working in that service. But yeah, that's how you exploited that. Moving over to 3FA. So in this, I'll cover a couple of the exploits that most teams got, and then one that I think nobody did. So first off, the one-time pad generation or one-time password passcode generation. The seed for those one-time passwords was flawed. It was public information. It was just the hash of the email with a dash and then a couple other things. And this server secret that was used to generate it was constant across all users. So it was basically trivial to generate your own or the one-time passcodes for any given user. So that made logging in pretty easy. Second exploit, which also a lot of teams got, was SQL injection. This was blind SQL injection. And so what you had to do was write your SQL injection query to insert an email containing the contents of the flag and send it to yourself. And then that would allow you to recover the flag that way. I did see a lot of teams throwing payloads like this. One thing a lot of teams were doing basic like string blocking on just like blocking the string union or union select and things. I didn't see many teams trying to get around those blocks. So like something that would have bypassed a lot of teams' blocks were if you had just like made the U lowercase or randomized the case of this. It'll still execute, it's valid SQLi, but that would bypass a lot of blocks that way. So just something to think about for the future. And then on this service, any of the teams can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anyone tried to exploit the cross-site scripting, which is sad. There was a checker bot for this. So if you posted or if you sent an email to the checker with cross-site scripting, it would execute that JavaScript and you could steal its cookies and log in that way. So another vulnerability there on that one. Moving over to Federated, this was a Node.js service with single sign-on for authentication. So there are a couple, 4 different vulnerabilities actually here that I'll just go through real quickly. One of them, you could specify the JWT algorithm. It was vulnerable to algorithm confusion. You would basically specify the PIM file as a public key, and then use that to sign your login token. There was an arbitrary read in that you could use basically something similar, but the KID path to leak data when you were signing things. I believe it was the error for when you tried to load it would disclose the contents of the file, if I remember right. I'm a little bit fuzzy on this. And that would allow you to read any file that you wanted on the system, including like the private key files, to then sign any tokens that you wanted to. One that was identified actually not by me, but by someone that was playtesting this service, that's a fun bug, is there is an Nginx server proxy that is like tying together this service and protecting it. And it specifically disallows accessing the /internal endpoints because those are only allowed to be accessed within the single sign-on connection. However, Nginx is case sensitive in its blocks, and Express.js, which is the web server that's used here, is case insensitive, which means that you can bypass the Nginx block and post things, post like requests to the internal endpoints. So you could basically force a SALT update against the user. So anyway, that was one that another person had identified actually in the service. And then the last thing, there was, and this is pretty similar to one of the earlier ones. This might actually, I think is very, very similar. But the well-known, the private.pim is actually exposed by Nginx. So calling this path reversal is not very accurate. The private.pim is exposed by Nginx, so you're able to recover that, and then you can use that to sign your authentication sessions. All right. So getting into some of the harder services, Scram and Notes.sh were ones that only 3 teams attacked Scram and 2 attacked Notes.sh. So for Scram specifically, there were 3 vulnerabilities. One of them is, I think, the one that every team exploited. It's a crypto vulnerability. So the way that the service works, you give it some message for it to store for you. It gives you a key that it XORs the message with, and it only ever stores the encrypted version of that. The key is, I believe, 256 bytes long. Then later, when you want to retrieve the message, you give it the file name and then give it the key. So in theory, that is pretty secure. Like 256 byte key protecting flags of length 32 bytes should be basically impossible to break that. However, the way that the flags are actually stored is that it uses this scramble functionality. So actually, I'm not connected right now. I can't demo it, but it basically takes the flag and turns it into ASCII art, and then it stores that. And one of the things that it does when it returns the scrambled value is it takes every character of the input and it attaches an ANSI control sequence to move the cursor to that position of the input. And then it takes all those groups and it randomizes their order, just to kind of, in theory, make it harder to read back. The vulnerability there is that those ANSI control sequences, the groups of those are 9 bytes long, and 9 and 256 do not share a common divisor. So that means that you have known positions within the ANSI control sequence. So like the first byte is always going to be the byte to like start a control movement, and you know what those bytes are. And so you can use that to cryptographically recover what the key is based on known positions in the plain text, and then get the original plain text back that way. So that's the one that most of the teams got. There are two other vulnerabilities. One of them, I'll be honest, was a last minute addition, and I didn't fully build out the proof of concept for it. But in theory, there is a binary exploitation vulnerability in this. Specifically, it leaks, like to bypass ASLR issues, it does leak the buffer address, and then you are able to buffer overflow the I believe it's the scramble function. You can get a buffer overflow in it, and then get control flow. And I left a lot of gadgets around in the binary to help with that. So the really fun one, the third exploit that nobody got, that would have been really, really easy to get, and I'm sad that nobody found it. I recorded a demo here using this. So if we look, hopefully this isn't too small, in the decompiled version of this, I'll just jump to main. It has this client thread that runs. It does all these things. There's this weird check at the end that it's doing a string compare on the input, which is the like the user provided data. So this is like user, the response to the prompt. It does a string compare with the literal string EOF, which is kind of weird. Like that string shouldn't show up in a binary anywhere. And then if it matches, it raises a signal. Raising a signal makes it kind of a pain to decompile or like to trace back. Thankfully, there is this install thread signals function that handles all the signals, and it gets really confusing, like what's actually happening here. There's this thread signal handler that also references EOF stuff and things like that. So it's all kind of weird, but why not just like try sending EOF and see what happens? So pull up an example where I do that. So this is a recording. I connect in to the service. I just send a little string EOF. Nothing happens. But it didn't exit. So if I wait a little bit, and I'll just fast forward this just a bit. And then if I just keep waiting, whoa, there's a backdoor in the service, and it streams the input of every other user into your session once you trigger it by sending EOF. So now everything that the checker's doing, everything that every other user is doing, is getting streamed out to this session as well. And if you want to dig into that, you can go deeper into the decompilation here and see how that works. I'll also share the source for the service, so you can go deeper there. But fun little backdoor, really, really easy exploit. If you had just been a little bit more curious and dived in and just tried things. So just another fun thing. And then real quick, the last exploit. So this was one that only 2 teams got, that I'll go through really quickly. There were 2 vulnerabilities in notes.sh. One of them was the fact that in the, it imported, if I can find the right file, it imported this function or this cache package, which like, it just works like YAML, but that should be kind of suspicious. It's more suspicious when we go to look at that repo and it only has 1 star. It was created, it says a year ago, and it says like these are a lot of contributors and things, but it's kind of strange. There's nothing like in commits or anything that we can really dive into. So it turns out Golang, specifically for libraries, has a, it caches all of the like published packages in the Golang package mirror. which is here. When you look at the code here, all of this code is perfectly normal. Like this is exactly the normal Golang YAML library. And in GitHub, you can't tell any difference. In this version, like it's not version tagged. You're on the most recent version. But if you go and look at usage of this, so we'll go down to where it's actually used. I'll jump to the definition in my code. And then I have to jump, it's not even in this file. If you jump, let me find it. I believe it's defined here. We find this function buried in the code. This run test function, and it says it has one reference, or maybe two references actually. It's called from within this mapping struct, which then gets called in the unmarshal process, and it says the place that it's called from checks if the key of the YAML that's being unmarshaled is this run key, which is just this literal string run key. And if it is, then it executes it with exec.command and then shtaxc, and it runs the command. So it's literally just a backdoor that allows you to run arbitrary commands in the service, and it doesn't show up in GitHub. And the only way you can find it online is going to the actual source in the Golang package mirror. And if you look there, you can actually see, oh, this is the wrong one. But if you look at the package mirror, you can find it there, or you can find it going through your LSP and finding the source there. But yeah, it was fully backdoored that way. The other exploit here, this was the full exploit for it. The specific version of crypto/SSH that's used in the service has a flaw. And the way that we do authentication here is we allow any user to log in. We do with public key auth. And then we like always return true, basically, whenever they're authenticating. The older version of this crypto SSH library doesn't properly verify that the key presented by the client is the actual, like that they own the key that they're presenting. So what you can do is you can actually just steal the key, because all the keys are published as part of this service. The user's public keys for every user is retrievable. You would get their public key. You have to use an old version of SSH because newer versions reject keys that they don't have a corresponding private key for. But if you go back to Ubuntu 14, that version of the OpenSSH client does allow you to do this, or you could write your own client if you really wanted to. And then you just specify TAC I with the public key that you stole, and it just logs in. It just trusts you that you must own the key that you presented, and it lets you in. So a fun little fact, this has been patched. One team, actually, the Cyberlines, I believe, patched this very early on. Or no, I'm sorry. They patched out the YAML backdoor. They noticed that it was weird and they patched it out, but they never found the how to exploit it. I don't recall if any teams patched this, but all you had to do was update your Golang dependencies. And both of these are basically supply chain attacks, essentially. One of them is just like an out-of-date dependency, and one of them is supply chain. And those are like increasingly common exploits that we're seeing. It seems like weekly, these supply chain attacks are coming in and are hitting huge swaths of developers because we have like this chain of software that we trust, and NPM and pip and all of these things that we just kind of trust that they're going to hand us things that are secure, and we assume that there's enough people looking at it that it's going to be secure. When in fact you can do things like this where it's really, really hard to track down what code's actually running in the software that you write. So being familiar with all the layers that the code is going through before it gets into your system is really important. It's also coincidentally something that AI is really bad at tracing, at least right now. I've thrown the service through quite a few AI systems, and so far nothing has found either of these vulnerabilities in the service. So something that is still very valuable for people in the loop to be able to identify and triage. So I got one question about leaking the vault in Federated. I believe that's referring to the fact that this path wasn't protected by Nginx, and you could just dump the well-known certs. But if not, I'm happy to discuss later. But anyway, so that is all the services that we played in Wicked 6. Hopefully it was a lot of fun for everyone. Hopefully you learned something, and I'm excited to see everyone back next year.
Fantastic. Thank you, Josiah. I really appreciate it. Wonderful job on the Glitch platform once again this year. Thank you to all the teams. Congratulations on, hopefully you learned something, you've had some fun, and you had a good experience. We'll have surveys out to y'all to get some feedback. We're always trying to improve the process. Big thanks to Bailey and to IPSEC for joining us on this broadcast. I would be remiss if I didn't say huge kudos to Jennifer Dreiss on the Play Cyber team for pulling everything together. This has been a wonderful experience and a wonderful way to close out on Wicked 6 2026. Thank you again to AWS for being our sponsor. We can't do that without sponsors, and to Women's Society of Cyber Jiu-Jitsu. Lots of love there as well. So with that, that completes this year's Wicked 6. Thank you, everybody. Stay wicked.
Experience revolutionized cyber training. Choose from over 100 interactive lessons among dozens of learning paths. Train your team in safe simulated scenarios. Create your own learning paths or use ours to evaluate your team. Create and assign quizzes to interactive lessons to further validate training. Track your team's performance. Create custom, game-based training using our patented Forge system. Create advanced red/blue team training or simple security awareness and onboarding. Import database tables to query in lessons. Haiku. Give your team the training they need.
Hello, I'm Ed Scotus, president of the SANS Technology Institute College and director of the team that builds cyber ranges for the SANS Institute. I have a question for you. Have you practiced your cyber skills today? Well, in the world of cybersecurity, staying ahead isn't just about knowing more, it's about practicing more with real-world hands-on skills. That's why here at the SANS Institute, we believe in the power of continuous hands-on practice to keep your cyber skills sharp and effective, no matter your level of expertise. Cyber ranges are the perfect way to achieve this goal. They're an interactive, hands-on set of learning exercises in a controlled, safe, and isolated environment with replicated networks, systems, and applications. Practitioners can test and improve their cybersecurity skills with real-world challenge scenarios without any risk. At SANS Cyber Ranges, we offer a diverse set of challenges designed to cater to all skill levels, from those just starting their cybersecurity journey to seasoned experts looking to stay ahead of the curve. Our ranges are built with industry-leading content and structured to provide a progressive learning experience. That means you can start with the basics and advance to complex scenarios that will even challenge the most experienced professionals. And if you're looking to tailor your training to meet specific team or organizational goals, we can customize our ranges to fit your unique requirements. Hiring and promoting with SANS Cyber Ranges is an effective way to assess, enhance, improve retention, and develop an individual or a team's competency in cybersecurity. Participants can receive a detailed assessment of their performance. This provides insights into how an individual or a team did across distinct categories of all levels, breaking down into a personalized training roadmap with which courses are recommended to improve or develop skills according to individual roles. So whether you're looking to hone your skills, certify your team, or just stay one step ahead of cyber threats, SANS Cyber Ranges are your gateway to becoming an elite expert cybersecurity professional. Reach out to our advisors today and start your tailored cybersecurity training journey with SANS Cyber Ranges.
For any business, innovation can't happen without security. But that security can sometimes feel cumbersome. That's why from day one, AWS has made security their top priority. And no matter the size or type of your organization, they can help you move quickly, securely, and with confidence to enable your business. AWS is architected to be the most secure cloud computing environment available today. All AWS services are designed to protect your cloud environment, enabling you to innovate quickly and securely. In fact, customers say the security of their apps and data on AWS is materially better than on their own on-premises infrastructure. Get the level of protection you need by accessing more than 300 security, compliance, and governance services and features, as well as thousands more security solutions in the AWS marketplace. Your builders can move fast, writing code and improving security posture at the same time. And AWS Security Automation helps ensure your teams spend their time on the highest value tasks. Use proven security from AWS and accelerate your innovation today.